We're in chapter 21 of Revelation, and the passage that we're in, beginning with verse 9 and following through the remaining part of the chapter, and then beginning in chapter 22, there it's almost like that they go, it's a continuation, so that I don't know that we'll go that far tonight, how far we'll actually get, but we are getting really close to the end of the book. The end of the book is in the end of chapter 22, and we may do that tonight or we may do it next week. Who knows? I never know exactly how it's going to go, but we're dealing with in the New Jerusalem and the things of the new heaven and the new earth and all of the new things. Um, like at the end of the year, we're coming to the end of the year. All of these end of the year events are taking place, and then in just a little while, just in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it would be, we begin the new year. And the new year, we're then beginning to look into what will 2026 bring about, and what are the things that might be expected, and all of that. And we began to head down toward the spring and where the planting and the plowing, all the things that would the preparation that have been made. Many of those things begin to kind of come to pass, and so then we begin again with a new cycle. And so uh, we understand new beginnings. But this new beginning that's coming about, when all the old heaven and the old earth has passed away, the new heaven and the new earth have been created. Part of that new creation is going to be the New Jerusalem. The New Jerusalem is the place that God has prepared for the saints. And so we don't know exactly what that looks like. And almost every one of us, whether it be a mom or dad or brother or sister or a spouse or a loved one otherwise that have passed away, there's got to be from time to time in special events, and like Christmas being one of those type of events where you are thinking about it, your mind will go to uh, where are they and what's going on there, and all. I believe I heard one of the Neelands that lost much of their family in an accident. I think it was within the last year, and but the one that was singing about. I wonder if they'll have. I can't remember the song exactly, but I wonder if there'll be snow, and I wonder if they'll have the things that call back memories that you had with those loved ones. And so you got to kind of wonder, okay, so what is heaven like? What is the heaven, the present heaven that is the throne room of God, and where they are? I don't know exactly what it all is like. I do know that though Jesus told the thief on the cross, "This day shalt thou be with me in paradise," in the King James, if Jesus called it paradise, and Jesus knows the best of all that God has created, because God created through him. He spoke the word. Jesus was the word. Jesus created. He created all things. He sustains all things through the word of his power. And so he knows the very best of all creation. And yet, even knowing all of that, he told the thief, "This day shall thou be with me in paradise." Then he's saying that this is the best. There's something greater coming, but the best that exists right now, the paradise of God, is where those who have gone to be with Jesus and are with him today, they're with him. And where's he? He's in paradise. Now, I don't know all about what kind of a existence they have, and all the questions that I ask myself about that. So I read these things, and I know that what I emphasize or work on the most is at things about the fourth watch of the night, that bad time after the abomination of desolation, and the work and the tribulation and all of that and all the stuff that goes on there. And then we come to the end of all of that and all the way through. But the reality is that we have loved ones that have already passed over. They're not going to go through that kind of stuff. They're not, but where are they today? What kind of place is it? And so when we look at this, first of all, we're looking at the New Jerusalem, and the New Jerusalem is actually, he says it's the bride in this first verse, chapter 9, chapter 21, verse 9. He said, one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls full of the seven last plagues came, spoke with me, saying, come here, I'll show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. And so we are looking to see, okay, what do you see when you see the bride? Here comes the bride. And when they began to play the music, and I know that's not what the actual song is, that's the way we always sing it, here comes the bride, and I won't go through the rest of that, but everybody stands up and they turn around to look, and they see the bride, and she's coming generally with maybe a father or someone representing the family, and generally the father, and they're coming, but are all the eyes are on her, and immediately what you see is, first of all, what she's wearing. Okay, so what are the things that go along with what she's wearing? And then, of course, as she gets closer, the bride, I think I don't know how many weddings I've conducted and been to lots of weddings, but the bride is almost, it seems like the bride, there's something about it that they are they're given a special gift of being the prettiest thing there. No matter what else is there, they are the center of attention, the bride. And that's the way it's going to be here. Now, Jesus is really what it's all about. I understand that. But his bride, the church, now gets the attention as we're coming to this time, and he has prepared something for her. And so this angel is one of the same angels who had the seven bowls of wrath. One of them came forward and he spoke to John and said, come, let me show you. I'll show you the bride. And so he comes, and now he sees the coming of the bride. But what he sees is what the bride really has been prepared for the bride. And so he's going to see the new heaven, the New Jerusalem, rather, coming down out of the heavens, out of the air, and coming down to the earth. And you got to remember, this is a new heaven and a new earth, so that the new earth has got a different set of laws and rules. And a lot of what it talks about here has got to be figurative, and yet we don't know what those figures represent to a large degree. By saying we, I'm saying I don't really know what a lot of the things represent. I might have some ideas, but here's the thing. I want to know for certain that it is something that is suitable and something that's beautiful. And so it's the very best that God can do, and the best that Christ has been able to bring about in all of these years. And so you might say, well, what is it like? And maybe today, as you think about Christmas and the new year and all of that, you're thinking about someone that you love so much that they've already gone, and you're wondering about and thinking about and all of that. And maybe your heart is troubled. And there's a lot of people, and I've thought about that, and almost everybody that I can think of, I think about how that their hearts, how there's so many things that are troubling hearts. Even today, as we talked about Debbie's brother Lannis and my sister Bonnie and and all those situations and we think about people with their hearts troubled, not heart trouble, but their hearts are troubled about things. And a lot of times, the thoughts of those who have gone before, this existential thing, do they still exist? Are they alive? Are they aware? What are they experiencing? Are they experiencing the peace? Are they experiencing the calm, the love of God, wiping away tears from their eyes? What are they experiencing? What is it like where they are? And maybe our hearts are troubled, and there's a lot of those things we can't really know. But when Jesus told his disciples, "I'm going to go away, and you're not going to see me anymore for a while," and when he spoke to them, their hearts were troubled, and it was obvious to Jesus. He knew their hearts, and he knew that they were troubled. Why can't we just go with you? Why would we be left behind when we were going to be with you forever? What's going on, and why can't we just go with you now instead of waiting? And so their hearts are troubled. So in John chapter 14, Jesus is answering that. Now the answer to that is, in reality, their job, what they're tasked to do, was still lying ahead of them, and they would begin that with this realization that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. But now they're struggling with, well, how do we know the way? How are we going to get there? If you're not there, we've always just followed you. We left Galilee, or we left Nazareth, or we left Jerusalem, or wherever, and we started walking. And you always walked along ahead of us. You walked along ahead of us, and we followed you, and we walked to these places. And now you're going to go away, and we don't know where to go. We don't know the way. We don't know where you're going. We don't know. We don't understand these things. And so Jesus is speaking to them. And the first thing that he says is this, and I want to say that to all of us, no matter what our circumstances are today, listen to what Jesus says here. He says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me." That's the key right there. Don't let your heart be troubled. Yes, I understand that there's going to be concern, and I know that there's pain, and there's loneliness, and there's fears and other things. But he said, don't let your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. You can trust Jesus to do the right thing. You can trust God that he is giving us Jesus, and Jesus is our way. Jesus is the path. Jesus is our truth. Jesus is our life. And so when you say, "But I don't know about so many things," no, there's a lot you don't know about. But do you know Jesus? If you know Jesus, you know the truth. If you know Jesus, you know the life. If you know Jesus, you know the way. And that's the whole thing. Now, this is I guess, a thesis statement, I guess, or at least it's the introduction to what he's going to say. Now, their hearts are troubled because they didn't know where he was going. They didn't know what it was going to be like, in much the same way we are. So in the next verse, Jesus says to them, "In my Father's house are many dwelling places. If it were not so, I would have told you, for I go to prepare a place for you. If I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also." So he starts out by saying, this is one of the places where you've dwelt with me. You've dwelt with Jesus here on this earth, and in all of this, you've dwelt in this. But in my Father's house, in what God has prepared in my Father's house, including everything, all of creation, everything, but even more that is in creation, actually already. There's dimensions that are beyond our comprehension, that we couldn't even begin to think about. And he says, "In my Father's house are many dwelling places." And the King James, of course, it says many mansions. And that's where the idea, I just want a cabin in the corner of glory land, or talking about I've got a mansion owned over the hilltop, that kind of idea, the idea of the mansion. But the idea here is there are many places to live in my Father's house, where my Father is at home. Where is God? Where is God? And so when you ask God, "God, are you here?" He says, "I am." But if you say, "God, are you there?" like where each of you are, God says, "I am." God is there. You see, God is, I shouldn't say you see, but you're aware of the fact that God is right there in the room where you are. and that God is in the room where we are here today. God is also at home in the place where your loved ones that have gone from here have gone. God is there. God, are you there? Were you there on the day they died? I am. Are you with them now in eternity, in this eternal thing that they live in, where because that they're no longer in space, they are in spirit. Now they're in eternity, and so with all of that, are you there? And God, and what does God say? I am. I am there. I am there with them in all of this eternity that they're in. I am in all of those places at all times. God is there. My Father's house, it includes all of those places. And so he said, you know, understand that, or at least accept it. Believe in God and believe in me. I'm telling you the truth. I would have told you the truth. If it were not true, I would have told you. You've learned, Jesus said, to trust in me. If you trust me, trust also in this. I would have told you if it were not true. If all of the stuff about some people about what all is in eternity and what all is in hereafter and all of that, if it weren't true, I would have told you that it were not true. If there was things that, I mean, if this was the end, if this was all there was going to be, if it was over, I would tell you that. I would make that known to you. You can trust me in that. He's saying, you believe in God, believe also in me. And then he said, but here's the thing. In my Father's house are many, many places. I remember, I believe it was Dr. Armstrong that said one time, Ernest Armstrong at the campground one year, and he was preaching about this. And if I remember right, he said, it could be easily said, in my Father's house are many galaxies, or in my Father's house are many universes, or in my Father's house are many worlds. You know, all of those things. God's house includes everything, including things that can't be experienced in what we can see or hear or smell or taste or feel or any of those things. Not anything can be touched with the senses. Things that are beyond all of those dimensions. All of those are part of what belongs to God, and those are places where God's presence is, and those who are in God's presence dwell. And so it's a beautiful place. It's a wonderful place. What's it like? I don't know. What is heaven like? It's beyond anything I could comprehend. It's not like something I could say, this is what it looks like, this is what it smells like, this is what it tastes like, this or whatever. Even those who have in spirit experienced being on the other side of the veil, let's say, and have experienced that and have been brought back and have had an experience, they can't really explain it in a way that's comprehensible to people like us that are still in the flesh. In the flesh, I know what I can touch. I know what I can hear. I know what I can see. I know what I can smell. I know what I can taste or what I can feel. Whatever it is, that's what I know. But there's things that are so far beyond that, and he can't give us all of that. But just to know this, there are many places where God dwells, many, many places. And so whether you want to, however far you want to push that to say many dimensions, many whatever, yes, God dwells in many, many places. And yet Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you. If it weren't true, he said, I would tell you, I would have told you, but he says, now I go to prepare a place for you. Now, if Jesus is preparing a place for his disciples, for the Christians, for all, what do we know about that? That place will be prepared, that it's going to be something beyond anything comprehensible to us at this juncture, but it will be something that is so great, so special, wonderful, and that even Jesus called it paradise. And he said, I'm going to prepare it. I'm going to get it ready. Now, when we get into the Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem coming down, the bride adorned for her husband, It's actually what the bride is to live in, what the bride's uh, place of being with the Father and being with the Son and being filled with the Spirit of God. It's that place. That's what he's talking about. That's the place that he's prepared. That those that are gone from us today, that are gone and they're in spirit, they are in a place. They're in a place. You might say, well, they're just spirit. How can they be in a place? They are in a place because he said, "You will be with me where I am, there you will be also." So where I am, that's where they have gone to be with Jesus, where he is. The Apostle Paul said to be absent from the bodies, to be present with Christ. And so they've gone to be present with him, and they are in a place. And I know when it's one place where it talks about the souls under the altar. Sometimes you think, oh, they're like an altar bench or an altar where the things are being offered up, and they're all crowded in under there, and that's misunderstanding completely what that's talking about. The altar is a place that's prepared so they can offer up their prayers. There are people today praying for my sister Bonnie and Shannon, or for praying for Lannis, and praying even for Waylon and for Debbie and I could go down the line for Brother Greg and for Atlas and you and for Rose and Aria that were sick Sunday and all of those things. There are people that are praying. Yes, on this side we're praying, but we join our prayers with those on the other side. And I believe those prayers are going up before God as sweet smelling incense, as incense is put on the altar of God, and in the smoke of that, the prayers of the saints are going up. The prayers of the saints that are alive, the prayers of the saints that have gone on to be with him, that are there under that altar, as well as the saints wherever they are, and many on the altar themselves or on a place of sacrifice themselves as they are going whatever they're going through. But all of that's going up, and we are being joined together with all of that, but they're in a place. That's the main thing. Now, Jesus said, I prepare a place for you. The place that is being prepared is, I don't think it's the same, uh, probably not the same place, in my opinion. It might be that that new heaven, they already have entered into that place. Maybe that's where they are, the New Jerusalem, and that's where. But there's no temple there, and all of that. And so, if there's no temple, there's no altar, and they are under the altar. So I believe they're in the heaven, the present heaven, that now is the place where God has dwelled in his throne room all of this time, and as Christ is at the right hand of the Father, and will soon come forward and as a lamb that's been slain to receive the book out of his hand, and to begin to open all of this up. That's all this is ready to begin. I believe that they're there in that place with him, but the place is being prepared. The place is being prepared, and when it's prepared, it will come. But it's not only that it will come, but he said, if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And so they're going to have some struggle with that. How are we going to know where you are and all of that? And what are we to do in the meantime and all of that? And he said, you know the way where I'm going. And of course, they argued with him. No, we don't know the way. We don't know the truth. We don't know, and all of that. And so Jesus makes sure that they know that Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. So he said, just remember this. The only way to get to God the Father is through Jesus Christ. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And then he goes on to say, no one comes to the Father but through me. He is the only way. So then we know that there's not another way. He is the way. And so if you know me, he said, you would know the Father and you'd know the way and all of that. They're still struggling with that. And I'm not going to do the whole chapter, but then Jesus gets down to the bottom of getting ready for them to leave and go out into to the dark in the place where this is going to take place. But he says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you." And you might say, you know what? We live in a world where there is no peace. Uh, Peace on earth is I don't remember how the song goes, but there is no peace on earth, I said. So the idea of there's, the church in that day thought that uh, the millennial reign was going to come as a result of what the church had done. The church was going to usher in the kingdom to Jesus, and as soon as they turned it over to him, he would begin to reign, and that would be the millennial reign. And then World War I destroyed a lot of that, but World War II, now it seemed like that there was no hope of there ever being peace. The church could not bring peace. And Jesus said, though, to us as Christians, he said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you." And you think, well, how can we be at peace? The reality is, if he gives you peace, you can be at peace. The circumstances won't bring you peace. If you're thinking that you can have peace if all the circumstances are right, I'll live at peace. Well, that's not going to ever happen. Even if it did happen, you would still not be at peace. If you're not at peace in the worst of circumstances, you can't be at peace even with the very best of circumstances. But the very best is the peace that he gives us. I give you a peace that surpasses all understanding to keep your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. There is a peace that is beyond anything comprehensible to human beings. And that peace is the peace that he gives us. He said, "My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you." The fact is, if the world gives it to you, the world will take it away. And I guarantee you, if the world gives you peace, be careful, because the world is not going to let you keep that peace. They will, as soon as you get attached to the peace that the world gives you, the world will take it away. Circumstances are going to change. Even if you get all the circumstances, all the ducks are in a row, and all the circumstances seem like it's going to be just perfect, and then you get to attach on that. This is the peace that I want. This is what I want. These circumstances, and those circumstances are going to change, and the peace will be taken away. But if your peace is in Jesus Christ, your peace is the peace that God gives you through Jesus Christ, then it's not like the peace that the world gives, because it will cause you can live in peace, even in trouble, in tribulation, in the very darkest of times. So it says, uh, because of this, do not let your heart be troubled. Do not let it be fearful. Now, Jesus is going away, but he tells them very clearly, don't let your heart be painful, or be troubled because of that. That's the peace that he's talking about. And so, but anyway, there is a peace we need to have at this time, and that is the peace that comes because the one who is the way, the truth, and the life has made a place for us, and there is a dwelling place that he has prepared, and we are going in that direction. So then he says that in verse 9, "Come here, I'll show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb." In other words, the place where she's going to live, the place that he's prepared. Come look at what I've prepared for the bride. That's what he is saying. So he carried me away in spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven. Some think that he's saying this city is coming down on top of the mountain. There's a lot in this chapter that's got to be figurative. But nevertheless, having said that, I have to also remember that it's a new creation. The old creation's passed away. And so many, many years ago, I learned about the laws of motion and the laws of thermodynamic and all of that. I took all that general science project information very seriously, and it's done me a lot of good. But one of the things I've got to realize is that in eternity, a lot of the laws of motion and thermodynamics and all of that, that a lot of the laws and even the laws of gravity and all these things, that those laws no longer applicable apparently in the new creation, there's a lot of things that there's a new set of laws or a new set of rules, and that things operate on a different way, and it has to be. So I can't say dogmatically that when it's talking about a city built 4 square, that is built 1,500 miles on the length and width or breadth, but also 1,500 miles high. Yes, I could buy the 1,500 miles on each side and the gates and all of that. But then when it talks about 1,500 miles high, I'm thinking 1,500 miles. What could be 1,500 miles? Is it going to have a canopy that goes that high? Is it going to have buildings that are that high? And you get to thinking about none of that seems, at least to me at this point, to make sense. So when we look at these things, I think we've got to let God speak to us in a spiritual sense to understand. And I can't say that I know how much of it should be taken as the literal interpretation would be. If it can be taken literally, I think we should take it literally. But if it's very obvious that it's something that he's using to represent, then we need to allow room for that, but also not to be dogmatic enough to say that can't be, because in this life and in this world and in this universe and in this creation, that couldn't be, because this is going to be a new creation, a new heaven and a new earth. It has mountains, it has rivers. It says that it has no more sea. Now, over though in, I think it's in Jeremiah or Ezekiel, it talks about the sea, the water flowing down the sea, but it uses all the rest of the same imagery we have here. So there's a lot of things I don't understand, and I don't have to understand, but I just do understand this, that Christ has prepared a place for us. He's preparing a place for us. He has prepared a place for us. And so wherever he's gone, the saints of God, as they leave this land, have gone there to be with him. They are with him, and he's going to bring them back, and they're going to be presented along with those that are alive and remain and are changed, then, and those that are resurrected, those that are brought back with him, all caught up together, the bride of Christ. The Old Testament looking forward to him, the New Testament looking back to him, all the bride of Christ are going to come together in this place where they will first celebrate the marriage supper of the Lamb up above in the heavens, and then as they come, as it's coming there, the change that's going to take place. There's so many different things that is almost beyond comprehension, but that he has prepared, this New Jerusalem that comes at, this is after the great white throne judgment and all of that, this New Jerusalem that's coming down out of heavens from God, it has the glory of God in it. And so you say, what does the glory of God mean? So God, the glow is where the word glory really, I guess, comes from. The glow of God is that Shekinah glory that fills every place where God's presence truly is. If God's presence is, I'm going to say manifest presence, even though I'm not sure what all that means, but where God shows himself, let's say, you're going to see glory, and that means you're going to see glow. Things are going to glow. Material things, or even these things have got to be made of things that are beyond anything, that there are no material things that we know of that can stand this. So where's the house that you would build for me? God has to have a place that he has built himself, where the glory of God can abide, can live, where he can live with and tabernacle with the saints, where the Son of God, the Father on the throne, the Son of God, there with all of the bride and all of that in this place. It's got to be a special place. And this place, as it's coming down, it has the glow of God in it. In other words, the glory, it shines. And he keeps talking about crystal clear jasper. But if you look up the stone jasper, you'll find that it's not crystal clear. It's translucent. It is. It is. Uh, Comes in different colors and all, but not like a diamond or something where that it's like white glass, as at least in normal uh, jasper. It has many colors to it, and it's a shiny stone and all of that. But this is a very costly. But the walls are like very costly stone, as a stone of crystal clear jasper. So, in other words, if you can imagine, and I don't know why in my mind it's blue. It makes no sense at all, except that's just what I think. That the walls maybe, but the walls look, they're not crystal clear so that you can see through the wall. I don't think, although it could be. It could be that it's like like if you think about a futuristic city with a dome over it, there's reason to think there's places like that that is going to exist at some point. But this is talked about, it's a cube, it's four square. And so, but that, so maybe they may be, the walls may be transparent, and that may be why it's called crystal clear. And maybe that's the best way that the angel can describe it to John in words that he would have some idea about what he's talking about. But her brilliance, she's shining. The city is shining, and the shining that's coming from it is like a glow, the glow of God. It's brighter than the glow of the sun, brighter than any other glow, and it is that glow, the glory that shines forth out of the city. Everything in the city itself shines, and everything in the city shines. There's no darkness. There's no shadow. You in the city, you'll never see a shadow. You'll never see a place where it's dark. You won't be able to open I don't know, a box or cupboard or anything else and say, oh, it's dark in there. There will be no darkness. It'll all be light. There'll be light coming from everything. That's what he's talking about. So there's the glow, the brilliance of all of that. It had a great high wall with 12 gates, and at the gates, 12 angels. The names were written on them, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel. So there's 1,500 miles on each of the sides. And so there's the 12 tribes names will go around, 3 on each side of it, so that the different sides, 500 miles apart, apparently, there will be a gate. Gates that are never closed, but gates that are built, and they're out of substance like pearl. There are no oysters big enough to make pearls the size of the gates that it's talking about here. So when it talks about gates of pearl, means that if you were to look there, you would say that's a substance that is like pearl. I guess is the best way to say it. It's very hard for me on some of these things to even begin to try to envision in my mind and try to comprehend what this is like. But there's gates, 12 gates around it. Verse 13, there were 3 gates on the east, 3 gates on the north, 3 gates on the south, 3 gates on the west. And the wall of the city had 12 foundation stones, and on them were the 12 names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And of course, immediately I'm thinking, okay, what about Judas? Uh, was his name on one of them? His bishopric was taken over by one that was elected. I think it was Matthias, wasn't it? But anyway, one that was elected. Or was it by the Apostle Paul? Only the Lord himself knows. But the names will be on those foundation stones. So the foundation stones, the 12 apostles, the gates, the 12 tribes. And in the 12 tribes, I think, okay, when he mentioned the 12 tribes earlier, he mentioned Joseph, and he mentioned Manasseh. Manasseh being the oldest son of Joseph, but not mentioning Ephraim, which is the other son, the bigger tribe, but the other son of Joseph, nor did he mention Dan. which was one of the 12. And so, what names will be on the foundation stones? I don't know. I thank God that He's the one that knows all of that. But they're just questions that come to my mind, of course, in thinking about it. But this angel that had been one of the ones with the bowls of wrath, this one who spoke with me had a golden measuring rod in his a golden measuring rod to measure the city and its gates and its walls. And we know that in the Old Testament there is also a time where there's one that is told to get up and measure the city. His rod is not gold and all of that, but it's very much the similar idea that is here as what we see back there, for the prophet did. But he measures the city and all of that. The city is laid out as a square, and this is where in the King James, of course, the idea of the city that's built for square. The city is laid out as a square. Its length is as great as its width, and he measured the city with the rod 1,500 miles, its length and width. And if it stopped there, I wouldn't have too much trouble. But it goes on to say, and height are equal. And almost everything that I've read of the ones I've read of said that is an indication that these are figurative. Could likely be figurative, not to be taken literally, because a city that is 1,500 miles high, any part of it would be something that it's hard to even begin to imagine, even though it's also hard to imagine some 1,500 square miles, 1,500 miles on the side coming down out of heaven and settling down to the earth. And you know that if the earth was spinning, that put it way out of control and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things we don't understand, and maybe it won't go all the way to the earth because it will give light to all the earth. It will be the source of light, and yet people will be going in and coming out. But also, people apparently will have the same kind of characteristics and attributes that Jesus had after the resurrection, where that he could be one place and then suddenly be somewhere else, or could go through walls and stuff like that. So maybe the idea of entering into the city, even if it was not all the way on the ground, I don't know. I'm getting too far out. He just measured the city with a rod, 1,500 miles, length, width, and height are equal. He measured the wall around the city, 72 yards, according to human measurements, which are also angelic measurements. So the city is 72 yards. I mean, the wall is 72 yards, and I'm thinking that means thick, although it could mean 72 yards high, but then it's already said that it's 1,500 miles high. So I'm thinking that the wall itself is probably this is the thickness, but I don't know about all of that. A lot of this stuff is just hard for me to get my mind wrapped around. The material of the wall was jasper. So again, it's using the same idea. The wall made out of a crystal clear, translucent probably, although crystal clear means it's transparent, the material of the wall. And it may be that there's a wall that is 72 feet thick that is actually like a glass-like substance that separates it all, the whole city maybe in this cube. And so that's something we'll see one day soon. But just to think about it, just nearly blows the mind. The city inside is like pure gold, like clear glass. In other words, no imperfections, nothing that tarnishes or anything like that. You don't have to rub the tarnish off or use cleaner or whatever. It's like pure gold. The whole city made out of gold. The foundation stones of the city wall were adorned with every kind of precious stone. So they're adorned with stones, and that makes it look and sound like almost that the foundation walls have the stones embedded in them, although they could be actually solid stone, precious stone. But the first stone was like jasper, same thing as the wall above. I'm guessing, unless it means the first stone on the bottom, and then the second a sapphire, the third chalcedony, and the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth ardus, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, and the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. And so those are, there's precious or semi-precious jewels that make up the foundation. A gigantic, and it's been said and thought that maybe that if you were to look at the city as it sets, the cube as it's setting, as it's coming down, it looks like it's riding on a rainbow. And the rainbow shining as well would be of these colored stones, 12 layers of stone. And then the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each of the gates was a single pearl. And that's hard to understand because you know that pearls are made by oysters. And if the gates were made of a single pearl, and so you can see that that's not what it means. So I don't know exactly what it means, how it means it, but that's just to describe it. So if you just look at it, he's just saying, this is something to look. Here's the bride. Here is where the bride will live. And you see, first of all, the way she's dressed. And the way she's dressed, this city that she lives in, that is what is, that's what it's talking about when it says, I'll show you the bride. And so the street with the city was pure gold, like transparent glass. And some have said they wanted to be street sweepers for that reason. But anyway, so verse 22, I saw no temple in it, but the Lord God, the Almighty, and the Lamb are its temple. No temple in the city, no need of a temple, because God will be living right there with them. Throne, yes, I believe. I believe that there's a place there for God, a place where people, and yet God is completely at home there, apparently, with those who are His. The city has no need of the sun or the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God has illumined it. This lamp is the Lamb. And so it just shines. The city shines like it does. The moon would and sun would look pale in comparison. It has no need for any of that because it will outshine them all. It will be the most glorious thing. The glow of it will be greater than anything else. And the nations on the earth will walk in its light. And of course, these are the nations at this point, I believe, are just the people who were looking forward to Christ, looking back to Christ. Those there that were his at his coming, they will walk, and they're walking on the earth and doing all the things that they do on the earth. And I have no idea what the work of their work will be. Will they be raising vineyards? I don't know that. There's so many different things, but it will be the new earth that is what it was supposed to be, or maybe what God intended from the beginning. And they will walk in the light of this city, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it. So that means from time to time, and I believe there will be probably special times, special holiday times, where everybody will gather together and gather the glory of the entire earth will be brought into that city where God will dwell with the saints. And that in that daytime, for there will be no night there, and that's an interesting thing. There will be no need for night. It's always daytime. The gates will never be closed. So the gates will not. There will be no reason for the gates to be closed. There's never night there, just daytime all the time. And they'll bring their glory in, and the honor of the nations will be brought in to the into this city, and nothing unclean, and no one who practices abomination and lying shall come into it, but only those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life. And so it's going to make it absolutely clear in the last verse, but also at the end of chapter 22, when we get to that point, which I'm pretty sure now that we're not going to get there tonight. But the place is going to be one. It's only going to be a place where sin has never entered in. There's never been a rebellion. There's never been anything unclean brought into the city or anything unclean, because it's a new world. and all of it is clean and pure and bright. And all of the things, the people who practice abomination and lying and all of that, their place will be in the lake of fire by this time, and they will never enter into it. But those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life, the Lamb's book of life, written from the foundation of the world, from beginning with Abel, all the way through to whoever's the last, who has their names written in the Lamb's book of life. All of those, their names will be written there, and they will come into it. But none of these others, none of those who practice these things, their part will be in the lake of fire. And we're going to read that more as we get into the following chapter. I'm going to reserve that, or wait until, I should say, until next week. So that's the city, the New Jerusalem, the bride coming down out of heaven. Now we're going to look at some other aspects of that as we finish the last chapter of Revelation. I don't want to start that tonight because I thought I might, or might even go all the way through, but I think it's better just to wait. And so we'll start with chapter 22, verse 1 next time. All right, I'm going to quit sharing at this time, and I'll let's see if I can quit sharing. Am I sharing? Am I still on? Yeah, here we are. Okay, and I think that I have quit sharing, hopefully. And you can turn on, no, I'm still sharing. So you're sharing your screen. Stop sharing. There we go. Now I got it. All this muttering to myself. Do you think I should take that out before I put it on YouTube?
Please.
I don't usually. I normally don't.
Yeah.
So Joyce said yes, and so everybody else said, it's just the way it is, way you are. So it's okay. All right. Any questions, comments, or anything else as we'll wait to start the next time. All right. Are we ready to pray? Let's pray.
Yep.
Father, we are grateful for the many blessings you brought upon us. We're thankful. And we do pray, dear Lord, that you will be glorified in your bride, and in all things, dear Lord, that we will maintain ourselves as truly the bride of Christ, and as we have opportunities, dear Lord, to think about those who have gone on and are on the other side. Help us to remember, help our hearts not to be troubled. Yes, maybe lonely or whatever it may be, but not troubled, because we know, dear Lord, that you've prepared something better for us than anything that this world could ever contain. And I do pray, dear Lord, that you'll be with them where they are, but you'll be with us where we are, that you'll help us, dear Lord, as we continue to approach the time as we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, and all that goes along with that, and begin the new year, and all of the things that will take place in the life of Christ as we celebrate throughout the year. I pray, dear Lord, that you'll be with us, that we will be prepared for what you prepare us for us, that you'll prepare us for that as well. Lead us, guide us, keep us, and for all that you do and all that you are, we give you praise and thanks in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, God
Amen.
bless you. Let's plan on doing it again sometime.
How about
Good
next
night.
week?
Yeah, next week. That'll work. Let's plan on it.